friends, and welcome to another Majora's Mask project making video. Today we are up to our 12th mask of the series. I'm going to keep this little introduction as short and sweet as I possibly can because it was quite long in the last video, but I just wanted to say a huge thank you if you're still following along, and welcome on into any new friends that have joined along with the project journey. The 12th mask has had quite a few comments, as you guys do in every single video, but this specific mask has had not too many, but still enough that I was kind of like, you know what, it's time to do it. So I would like to announce that the 12th mask of the series will be the Gibdo Mask. The Gibdo Mask is the mask that you get in Ikana Canyon at the Music Box house. You first have to help the father and the daughter, but the main trouble is actually getting inside the house, because every time you see the daughter, she runs away from you because there's lots of monsters and Gibdos and undead people outside. You get this as a reward, and once you're wearing it, you can talk to Gibdos, and also re-deads do a funny little dance when you're walking around the place. It is a pretty good mask, especially to have for Ikana Canyon and the Stone Temple and the Ikana Castle, so it is very handy within the main game. I've been putting it off for a little bit because I had no idea what I sort of wanted to do to make it. I'm just going to use the normal Amazon cardboard base mask thing, and then probably some foam clay just to make it all steady. I do use foam clay in every single mask video, even if the mask base is plain, even if it's kind of human shaped. That's also mainly because I want it to be quite thick and quite stable. When you are just adding things onto the cardboard base, it is quite thin and things seep through, and it's easy to break and it's easy to bend, and so putting the foam clay on it kind of makes it a little bit harder and doesn't give a lot of wiggle room when you're wearing it, so like the elastic won't bend the cardboard or anything. For the Gibdo mask, I will be using that base. I will be covering it with foam clay, and then of course, because Gibdos are basically mummy-like creatures, I'm going to be covering it in bandages. I picked up just some average bandages. I did know that there used to be like plaster-like bandages that existed. I don't know if you can just buy them anymore. They might be just like hospital grade ones, but I got a standard bandage, and I'm gonna try and see what it's like just putting it over the foam clay while it dries. And then if that doesn't work, I'm gonna kind of just layer it sort of like paper mache with just some PVA glue and like a water mixture, and see if I can kind of gunk it up a little bit. I might be able to also rip up some tissue paper or add in some corn flour or something just to make it a little bit more crusty like. The main idea is to have it be bandages. That's about it. I don't think there's anything else I need to say in the intro to this video. So without further ado, I will let you guys get to the mask making.
The first things that I needed to grab for the mask was the mask base, masking tape, and foam clay. Because the Gibdo is still human form, I didn't want to trim off the mask nose off, but just enough to have a semi-flat base. I then wanted to use masking tape to completely cover and smooth down the area that I wanted to put the foam clay on, and I also used masking tape to cover up the eye holes just a little bit because I still wanted to see through them when the mask was done, but needed them to look more like pupils than the whole eye. The next thing that I needed to do was cover the entire thing in foam clay. For this mask, I did try to use quite a lot of foam clay because I wanted it to be quite dense and strong, and was also relying on the foam clay when wet to actually hold the bandages in place. Once the mask was completely covered, I literally took it into the bathroom, took it to the bathroom sink, and completely drenched it. It doesn't look too drenched here, but it was wet enough. I then grabbed my bandages and just started cutting off random lengths and laying it down on top of the foam clay. I didn't have a specific way that I wanted to lay this first layer, mainly because I was testing for coverage and the way that it stuck to the foam clay, and also wanted to do a second layer of bandages later, and I knew when I did the second layer it would look more like the in-game pattern. as you can see, it currently does not. I left it to dry and then wanted to test what it looked like with some makeup, just because I was a little bit worried about the final details. And I also added some foam clay under the eye holes so it looked like the white of the eyes. I didn't record most of that because it was just testing different ideas, even though I did like the final result. It was now time to make my paper mache solution, which was literally just 1 part water, 1 part PVA glue. And then I dipped the bandages in the glue and covered the mask, but this time in the same pattern as the mask in the game. I then left it in the laundry overnight to dry. Once that was all dry, it was time to start working on the finer details. I used some scissors to cut off excess bandages around the mask, leaving a few strands here and there to match what it looks like in game. And then I grabbed my eyeshadow palette and just a fluffy eyeshadow brush and used a little bit of brown and black eyeshadow to put around the edges of each bandage. I was in a bit of a flow state at this point, however, I wasn't really liking how it was looking. I did make it accidentally too dark, or a lot darker than what I originally did in the makeup test. So I did try to fluff it out a little bit, but once the makeup was on, it was quite dark. I also got some makeup residue on the white of the eyes, so I used some white acrylic paint just to brighten that up a little bit. While I was trying to figure out how to fix the details, I grabbed a bit of cloth, it's actually from an old t-shirt, and cut up some patches to hot glue on the inside of the mask. The fabric is see-through enough, and it also looks really dark, so the eyes look like pupils. I then wanted to make the eyes look a little bit more even, and in the Gibdo image, around the eyes are a little bit darker, so I grabbed some black acrylic paint and just started, honestly, just winging it. I also covered any leftover hot glue and any bits of bandage that might have been hanging down in black, so it all looked kind of cohesive. And this is what it started to look like. The bandages of the Gibdo mask are also quite tattered, so I grabbed some scissors and also a lighter to try and roughen up the edges a little bit. The singeing did work a little bit, but it definitely helped when I just cut some chunks out of it with the scissors. And eventually it just kind of looked like this. I then realized the solution to making the Gibdo mask a little bit lighter was to spray paint a very, very thin coat of white paint over the top of it, and I was pretty happy with the result. The spray paint was also kind of like a setting spray for the bandages as well, so they became a little bit hard, which I actually preferred. It kind of ended up being a bit of a protective barrier for the mask instead. The last thing that I wanted to do, of course, was attach the elastic to the mask, so I used a pencil and some pliers to poke some holes in either side and feed the elastic through. And this is what it looks like when I wear it. This wasn't a difficult one to make, but that is the Gibdo mask pretty much done. Please let me know if you like how it turned out. Feel free to subscribe if you want to follow along with the project. And let me know in the comments which mask you would like to see next. Thank you all for watching, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye!